Hello everyone, how are we all doing? Now in this video I will be talking about identifying compulsions. Now this is something that people do tend to struggle with, and I deal with this in one-to-one calls because yes, the obvious ones are quite clear, but there's often some subtle and some hidden compulsions. So I'm going to help you rooting out those subtle ones, those hidden ones, with ways and tips and advice of how we know whether it's a compulsion. Okay, so the first thing I say, now I've asked myself these two questions many times on my journey. I often pose these two questions in coaching calls. And the first question that I would ask is this: are you doing this for relief, to escape a feeling, to get rid of discomfort, to get rid of that unwanted feeling? Now, are you doing this for relief? Whether that's an unhealthy addictive behavior, whether that's seeking reassurance, whether that's venting, whether that's confessing, whether that's trying to work it out, whether that's constantly asking questions, the same questions over and over again. Okay, Googling, very common one. So ask yourself, am I doing this for relief, to get rid of that feeling? No matter how subtle it may be, no matter how hidden it may be. For example, with me, I used to confess all the time. I used to vent all the time, constantly getting things off my chest, constantly getting this secret off my chest. I can't hold this secret back because OCD really heightens that urgency. It makes it feel very, very intense that you can't possibly live with yourself holding this thing back from other people. So I was constantly confessing every intrusive thought, every real event, every false memory, anything that OCD latched to. I was constantly getting it off my chest, so it was now out in the open, so people can judge me, people can have their opinion of me, that I'm not holding anything back. So that was a big one for me. I was confessing and I was venting for relief. Venting, the constant whining, the complaining, the moaning, why me, the victimizing, why me, I don't deserve this, why do I have to have OCD, if only this thing didn't happen, if only I could just get an answer on this. Just that constant whining and venting. Okay, I set a goal that I didn't no longer want to talk about OCD all the time. Okay, now what I mean by that is OCD is always looking to be in the limelight, to be in the spotlight. Okay, so let's say my partner asks me, Sam, how you doing? How was your day? I have to train myself. This is good for self-discipline, and it's also good for building frustration tolerance. I have to train myself to say, I'm good, thanks, how are you? Even when it felt like I was drowning, even when it felt like I was really, really struggling. That's not to say bottling things up, because initially bottling things up isn't healthy, because you need to reach out for help. When you're struggling, please reach out for help, of course, right? But the problem with that as OCD is that we can't limit that. We can't draw the line. It's that, how are you doing? Oh yeah, I'm having a shit day, OCD's latched to this. Oh, it's so fucking bad. It's just the worst thing ever. Why has it got to do this? If only this thing didn't happen. Let me tell you something. This thing happened 10 years ago. Actually, I did this thought last night. Hang on a minute. I had this thing 2 years ago. That's how it went with me. So even just that one simple question of how are you, how was your day, opened up the floodgates to venting. It opened up the floodgates to constant confession and constant trying to ask questions over and over again. Yeah, but when you said that, your eye twitched when you said that. When you said that, your arm moved. When you said that, you raised your eyebrow. Are you sure you really believe what I said? Are you sure you really think what you just said then? Have I got to explain it again? Are you sure you quite understood what I said? That's how it went for me, right? Because I was trying to chase relief. I felt very guilty. I felt very anxious. I felt very depressed. I felt chronic shame, chronic guilt. I felt just panicking, constantly panicked and just low mood, and I felt very low. So what I was doing to alleviate that feeling, to get rid of that feeling, was confessing and venting. This is what I mean by, what are you doing for relief? Am I doing this thing for relief? Am I doing this to get rid of a feeling? Am I doing this to escape discomfort? Okay, a very important question to ask yourself. Next thing, am I doing this to avoid a potential trigger? Okay, think about that. Am I doing this to avoid a potential trigger? Okay, and this is where avoidance is absolutely huge. Okay, I often speak to people, they say, Sam, you know what? I'm not seeking reassurance anymore. I'm not Googling. I haven't been on Google for months. I haven't asked any questions. I'm doing well. I'm not venting to my partner. I'm not confessing. No confessing's long gone. I'm all good. Okay, what are you putting off? Oh, I'm putting off this. I'm putting off traveling. I'm putting off doing that by myself. I'm putting off dating. I'm putting off intimacy. I'm putting off getting a job. I'm putting off recovery work. Okay. So, obviously, huge amounts of avoidance there, right? I'm putting off being around my fear. Let's say harm OCD. I'm putting off being around sharp objects. Let's say contamination OCD. I'm putting off being around unhygienic, dirty, yucky items, or just areas or places which can be deemed as unhygienic or dirty or contaminated, so on. I'm not putting myself around that area, but I'm not doing any compulsions. Well, that is a huge compulsion because that is avoidance. You're avoiding potentially being triggered, right? Same with POCD if you're avoiding children. Oh no, I'm fine, I'm not seeking reassurance anymore, I'm not confessing anymore, I'm not venting. Oh no, but I'm not spending any time with children. I haven't walked past a park in 5 years, I haven't even walked past a school in 10 years. No, well that is avoidance because you're avoiding potentially being triggered, right? Let's say you have ROCD, right? Let's say you're single, for example, because ROCD can also come in when you're single, especially if you just come out of a relationship. It can be, well, do I avoid dating, for example, because I don't want to get back into that relationship? Oh, no, I haven't been on a date for months. Oh, I'd like to be in a relationship, but no, I don't want to do that because it scared me too much. Last time I got triggered so much. Well, that is avoiding that because you're avoiding potentially being triggered. You're avoiding OCD latching, okay? So that is a compulsion. It's avoidance. Okay, avoidance is very crafty. Avoidance spreads to everything, right? To a point where you're living in that mental restricted OCD bubble where you're just living in an OCD cycle, you're just existing, you're not living, right? When I was housebound, I was avoiding even going out the house. I was avoiding doing anything that I wanted to do. I was just staying in the OCD cycle and I was still getting triggered, right? Living in complete avoidance. Now ask yourself, is this a compulsion? Okay. What's the questions from this video? Am I doing this to avoid a potential trigger? Yes, I am, because I'm scared that's going to trigger me. You know what? I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to do what I irrationally fear, and I go towards it. I'm going to make sure I do it, because that is going to trigger me and bring it on. Okay? Of course, being triggered is not a nice feeling. You don't become delusional. You're not trying to say being triggered is fine, it's good. No, it's not a nice feeling, but you've got to look at what you get from being triggered, right? Yes, the discomfort goes up, the anxiety goes up, of course it does. But each time you're triggered, you're showing your brain that it's nowhere near as scary as you currently perceive. It's just a mental obstacle. It's a mental barrier that you've built up in your head. This is too much. This is too scary. This is different. Oh my God, this one's too different. This one's too much. I can't deal with it. Okay, so you're overcoming that mental obstacle. Okay, so, and what you learn from triggers as well is also very important, because when you're triggered, when you stop avoiding potential triggers, you are going towards that fear. But also, when you are triggered, it's showing you what you're then scared of, thus what needs work with belief work, unconditional acceptance, rational thinking, how you need to go towards worst case scenario, and so on. So it's highlighting to you, it's slapping you in the face what the core fears are and what needs breaking down on paper with your disputing work. Okay, so triggers are good. They are a blessing in disguise. It took me ages to see that. Fucking ages to see that, because I was shit scared of triggers. Absolutely terrified of triggers. I thought, fuck, this anxiety through the body, this panic, I can't cope, I hate this, oh my God, my whole life's ruined, my whole day's ruined, my vacation's ruined. But actually it was showing me what needed work. Yes, you have to write it out. You have to wear it in the meantime. Okay, you do. There is no way around that. You can't go into triggers and then just expect to feel fine. It's gonna be bumpy. You're gonna feel it's gonna be anxiety provoking. You're going to feel uncomfortable. There is no way around that. I can't beat around the bush there. Okay, got to be very realistic. It's going to be difficult, but in the long run, think where you could be in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year, 18 months, 2 years. If you just face this trigger now and stop avoiding it. Cutting the compulsion, not avoiding that trigger anymore. Going towards it and learning from it. Seeing it as a big learning opportunity, a big learning curve. Okay, a blessing in disguise, because it's highlighting to you, once again, what you're scared of, and yet again, what needs work. Okay? Now, before I wrap this video up, I want to talk about how some compulsions and how people can get quite obsessed with compulsions. This is why I want to do a video on this, and also did a message in the group chats, the WhatsApp group chats that we have here. And please email phil@ocdrecovery.com if you're interested in getting involved in a WhatsApp group chat. You have to attend a webinar or one-to-ones to be involved in these group chats. So I did a post with identifying compulsions, and the reason I did this was because I spoke about these two questions that I'm speaking about, but also how it all links to fear of fear. It all tends to boil down to the fear of being stuck forever, okay? Because you then get OCD about compulsions, right? Not knowing whether this is a compulsion, not knowing whether, am I doing it right? How do I know? So you then get so obsessed about whether it's a compulsion or not, you get so fixated, and then you just sort of put off life. You just sort of freeze because, oh my God, am I doing this right? And that all links down to you trying to perfect recovery, trying to nail recovery just right, meaning that you will definitely recover. And that's fear of fear, because it all links to you being scared of never recovering, never getting better. So you're saying, well, I have to know whether this is a compulsion, 100 million percent that it's a compulsion, meaning I will recover. Well, this involves an element of taking the risk of not knowing. Hence why I'm giving you this guidance to help you identify the compulsions, but it's not like you have to know right this second whether this is a compulsion. In my journey, some compulsions took me years to discover, to identify, to think, shit, yes, oh my God, I was spending so long, I was doing that for relief. Shit, I was actually putting that off. That was a huge compulsion. Now, of course, the advice here is to do all you can to root out the compulsions and cut them. Please, by all means, compulsions need to be cut. You won't recover while still doing compulsions, as simple as that. But I'm bringing down the urgency that you need to cut them right this second, otherwise your life is totally worthless and what's the point of carrying on? That isn't healthy, okay? Please, by all means, try all you can to cut compulsions and help identifying them and stopping them. But don't put your life on hold whilst you find them, whilst you discover them. Okay, some compulsions can take time, especially the subtle ones, especially the hidden ones. Okay, by all means, try and root them out, but they don't have to be nailed down this complete second. Because what that then leads into your black and white, rigid, alwaysness and neverness kind of thinking. Because what you're saying is that if I do not root out this compulsion right now, I will never recover and I will always be stuck. Okay, meaning life's no good, what's the point, I'm worthless, total waste of time, this isn't for me, and so on. So it's that catastrophic reaction because you're not finding this compulsion right now, and because of that belief, that opens the floodgates to all the feelings of demotivation, depression, hopelessness, and deflation, despair, where you just feel completely defeated because, oh shit, if I don't identify these compulsions today, oh my God, help me, these compulsions, oh my God, help me, my whole life's on hold, I can't live whilst doing these compulsions, I need to recover. That becomes a problem in itself, and that links to fear of fear. Okay, that's a very important point. That's something I got stuck on big time, constantly asking, is this a compulsion, is this a compulsion, is this a compulsion? Take that risk. Use those two questions I've said at the start of this video to help identify them, but never go from the stance that I need to know right this second, otherwise my whole life's useless, waste of time, never recover, what's the point? That is too black and white, that is too rigid, okay? So by all means, try and cut compulsions as much as you can. It's going to really, really help you, and you won't recover whilst doing compulsions. It's as simple as that. But we need to bring down the urgency. Right, I know this can seem quite contradictory, I get it, okay? But the urgency to cut compulsions right this second becomes a problem in itself, and that just fuels fear of fear, making it less likely to budge and just prolonging the suffer in the long run, okay? I hope that makes sense. I think it's very, very important to cover. Hope you found this helpful. If you are still finding it very difficult to identify your compulsions, to root out your compulsions, see what's keeping you stuck, I would recommend booking in a one-to-one session where you can speak to one of the coaches here and we can see your specific, your tailored compulsions or your tailored fears and your beliefs, which is keeping you stuck and holding you back. Please email phil@ocdrecovery.com and we can get in touch, and you get in touch with us and we can book you in as soon as we can, because ultimately these are the kind of behaviors that are holding you back, right? The reluctancy to give up compulsions, and then the fear of that I need to cut it right now, and if I don't, my whole life's a waste of time, therefore feelings of demotivation, depression, anxiety, shame, panic, and so on. Okay, so very important points to think about. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please leave a like, and we'll speak again. Bye bye.